Hello everyone, B.O.B. here, and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial, and today's a very special one because we are celebrating my 100 sub special! And I want to thank you all so much for the amazing support. You've all been absolutely awesome! And as a token of my gratitude, I have decided to do a tutorial on the rotating super smelter that I built in my Survive and Thrive world. Now, just to give you a quick little demonstration, I'll show you the output chest is completely empty here, and I got one stack of sand inside my inventory. I'm going to go ahead and place that in the input chest and watch this thing get to work. Now, this is a relatively cheap super smelter for its size. Most super smelters, like particularly cart loading designs, they all require hoppers feeding into the top of each furnace as well as into the back or side of each furnace, while this one really only requires the output hoppers, and then we just need two hoppers for the input, one for the main items, one for the fuel. But as you can see, it went through this stack already, and if we look in our chest, the numbers kind of come in sporadically. It'll be fast bursts, and then it slows down for a second or two, and then another fast burst. But as you can see, we're burning right through that stack in no time. And it's like the more items you put in this, the more it makes use of the furnaces in the array. So it'll actually go a little bit faster if you go with several stacks. And you see when it comes down to those last couple items, well, they dwindle in a little bit slower. But there we go. In just that brief moment of talking, we have smelted an entire stack of sand. And of course, there are super smelters which can produce much faster. I mean, you got some of those minecart loading arrays that can do thousands of items per second. But I mean, as far as materials cost and the room that this takes up, and it is a little bit flexible as far as that's concerned. I mean, you could make it smaller, you could make it bigger, but I kind of got it timed out here perfectly. So when it is in full use, the last few items are usually finishing burning up right about in here, right before the oven gets reloaded. So I mean, it's very efficient. And yeah, like I said, cheap to build. I mean, you could build this fairly early game. When I built it in Survive and Thrive, I mean, it was early game. It wasn't. I had already beat the Ender Dragon, if I'm honest, but it's not. I didn't have like an iron farm or anything like that to fund the project. Everything I put into it was mined legitimately. Now, the materials required for this build can be found in this chest right here. We're putting 5 chests into this model. Now, 2 of these will be your output chest, 2 of them for the fuel input because you want to kind of overstock on that stuff, and then you just need 1 chest for your main input. We're putting about 30 hoppers into this system, which sounds like a lot. That is kind of a lot of iron, but like I said, compared to some of the more traditional super smelters, it's about a third of what you would be putting into something this size. You're going to need 4 regular pistons, just 1 comparator, 6 repeaters. This is a 26 furnace array. So yeah, 26 furnaces. And of course you could use smokers or blast furnaces here. But typically for super smelters, you're doing things like loads of sand, or in my case, I do lots of smooth stone. So yeah, blast furnaces and smokers are a little restrictive. I like my super smelters to be a bit more versatile. It's going to take about 26 redstone dust just to link everything up. And then you're going to need some building blocks. Probably not a full stack. Probably closer to a half. But you know, it doesn't hurt to have some extra with you. Now, the area for this build is a 10 by 10 space, which I have outlined in smooth stone here. And like I said earlier, that is a little flexible. You could make it smaller. You could make it a little bigger, but keep in mind that those pistons can only push 12 furnaces at a time. But, you know, as far as working out the timings and things like that, you can adjust that to fit the size of your furnace if you prefer. It's all a matter of tweaking some repeaters to rotate at the time that you like. But like I said, the setting I got up here is set up to be pretty efficient. Probably someone smarter could do something more efficient, but this is what I came up with. To get started on the build, we're going to start right here in the middle of our 10 by 10 space. We're going to place a double chest right there. That's going to be our output chest. Now, we're going to come to the back of that output chest. We're going to feed 1 hopper into the back of it, and then bring 1, 2, 3 more hoppers off the side of that, and then do the same thing on the other side. 1 hopper into the back of the chest, 1, 2, 3 hoppers into the back of that, or into the side rather, I'm sorry. Now we're going to add 7 more hoppers to each end of this. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come over to the other side, do the same exact thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we just need to close this ring in. I'm going to do that by adding 1, 2, 3 hoppers on this side, and then 1, 2, 3 hoppers on this side. And the purpose of this hopper arrangement is this just to ensure that items coming out of the furnaces have basically the fastest path possible to your output chest. So the next thing we're going to do is just get our pistons in place, and well, I'm going to start in this front corner. You could have it rotate in the opposite direction if you prefer, but in the episode of Survive and Thrive that I built this in, I called it a clockwork super smelter, so I made it turn in a clockwise direction. But in order to do that, we're going to go ahead, we're going to place 1 block on the end here, and that's just so we can place a piston on top of that. Then we're going to come to this corner, do the same thing. 1 block, piston on top, and as you can see, these are on the different sides. And we're going to have 1 of these on each side of the array. So 1 here, 1 there, and then 1 here with a piston there. And as you can see, they are set up in a piston feed tape position. So that's pretty perfect right there. Next we need to get our inputs put in place. Now to do this part, we're going to place just a couple temporary blocks, and we're going to place 1 here and 1 here right behind your output chest here. Now feeding into the top of this one on the left, we're going to go ahead and place a hopper, and then feeding into the back of the block on the right, we're going to place another hopper. Now let's go ahead and place a chest on top of our uppermost hopper. That's going to be our main input for the items that get smelted. And then I like to do a double chest for the fuel source. Just you can stock up on that. So you go ahead, place a double chest over this hopper. And then that also brings them, both of those chests, right up to the face of the furnace, which is pretty convenient anyways, especially if you want to decorate this to look a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead, let's break away those temporary blocks. But next what we need to do is we need to hook up our power function, and in order to do that, I'm actually going to steal a signal from this hopper right here. So let's go ahead and jump to the inside of our hopper array here, and I'm going to place a solid block right here next to that hopper. We're going to place 1 underneath that just so that way we can step out from there, and we are going to place a comparator on that little tab that sticks out from there. So what that's going to do is anytime there's items in this hopper, that comparator is going to steal a signal, and that's what's going to tell the furnace when it needs to be rotating and when it doesn't. So from here we need to build a clock. Let's go ahead and just bring 1 block out from the repeater, then 1, 2 blocks over, and then 2 blocks over from the side of the comparator, and then we just need to turn this into a comparator clock. So let's go ahead, place 1 repeater here, 1 repeater here. We're going to set both of those repeaters to 3 ticks. Then let's go ahead and put this comparator into subtract mode, and we're going to just chain this clock together just like that with some redstone dust. Next, we're going to take our main signal from this dash of redstone dust that's here by its lonesome. So what we'll do is bring out 1 block on each side of that, put repeaters on top of those 1 blocks, and these don't need to have any delays to them or anything like that. They're just to ensure that the signal gets all the way to the pistons. So we need to feed that signal into solid blocks. Let's go ahead and place some solid blocks there on the end of each repeater. Now on this one, we're going to bring it over to the side of our array, so it's right over top of our hoppers. Then bring it all the way up front, and then 1 block on top of that piston right there. Come around to the back, and then just bring this line of blocks all the way back till you reach the top of that piston here. We're going to do pretty much the same thing on this side. We're going to bring this line of blocks all the way over to the side of our array. and bring blocks back and then over till they're on top of that piston there, and come around to the front and just bring the line of blocks all the way to the front of those pistons. And now we just need to run some redstone dust to those pistons. And that is nice and easily done. So we're going to bring this right from our main clock here in the middle, and we'll just dash it over all the way to the side and bring it up to the front to this one that's got the little L shape on the end, just like that. So we want that piston to fire first. So this one needs to be on a delay. So we're going to put our repeater right here. We want to set that repeater to 3-tick delay. So put it down, click it twice, and then bring a redstone line all the way to the end of these blocks, just like that. We're going to do the same exact thing on the other side, just in the reverse fashion. So we bring our redstone dust from our clock over to the end of our array here, and then back to the L shape of the blocks above the pistons here. And then we just need to place in a repeater for this side. Again, 3-tick delay there. Then bring the line of redstone dust all the way up to the top. Now, if you notice, when I place those two in, that redstone line connected there, and we don't want that. So we can prevent that just by placing a couple solid blocks right there on top of those lower redstone dusts. And then that'll separate the line. And the last step is just to get our furnaces put in place. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to come to the front of our machine here. We're going to come to this piston, or this hopper right here. Make sure you don't place a furnace in front of this piston, but to the side on this hopper, we're going to start placing our furnaces here. So let's go all the way across the front. And we got to come all the way back this side until right here. Leave a space in front of this piston. You do not want to place one on that corner hopper. But we do want to come to the inside. We're going to start on this hopper here and place some more. So let's go across the back here. If I could get out of here. Alright, and then to the outside. Same thing. Almost all the way to the front. Here again, we're going to leave a gap right here on this corner piston. So that way our piston feed tape will work as it should. And my friends, that is a super smelter. That is a super smelter ready to go. We're going to need to add some fuel. I think I'm going to use dried kelp blocks for this. Now what I want to do is make sure I sort of overstock your fuel input here. But there is one step to kind of prime the whole thing. This first furnace, it's going to be receiving items that need smelted, but it's not going to have any fuel until it makes a complete rotation. So what I want to do with this one is I'm going to go ahead and just place a couple of these dried kelp blocks in here already. So that way it'll start smelting as soon as it gets loaded. And then all the rest of these dried kelp blocks I'm going to place into our main fuel input. Now you don't necessarily have to use dried kelp blocks for your fuel source in this. You can use pretty much whatever fuel source you want. But I do recommend using something efficient like coal, dried kelp blocks, something along those lines. Try and avoid things like bamboo where it's going to burn up faster than it actually smelts. And now that we got fuel in the system, let's get something to smelt. And I went with just a couple of stacks of sand here, so I'm going to go ahead and put these into our main input. And we watch this furnace get right to work. As you can see, as each furnace is getting pushed under the main input hopper, it's firing up. If we can take a quick peek in here, you see each of these are getting about 3 to 4 items before they're moving on to the next position. And then they should be emptying right in this area somewhere just before they get refilled. And there you have it, my friends, a 26 furnace super smelter, fully operational, fairly cheap to build, and well, it's pretty cool, right? Again, I want to thank everybody for the amazing support so far. You have all been just fantastic. And I'd like to ask if you did enjoy this video, maybe consider hitting that like button. And if you're not subscribed already, maybe consider subscribing. I also want to thank each and every one of you for watching and wish you all a wonderful day.